What's happening, guys? Today I thought I would talk to you about a system of shooting that I happen to be an instructor in. There's not too many of us. I think there's probably less than 10 instructors total in this system. And I thought I would share with you a couple things. One, a little bit about the system. It's pretty darn cool. And then also how that no matter how long you've been doing something, you have those moments where you discover things, those eureka moments, and you suddenly realize, oh wait, that's what that meant. And that's pretty darn cool. It's frustrating because you think of all the years that you didn't know this, it never clicked, but then you just weren't ready. You know, there's an old saying about when the student's ready, the teacher appears, and sometimes that teacher takes the form of yourself. You discover through trial and error and through doing and repetition, you discover the thing. And as you get better at it, you discover more about it. And you take off the layers of not knowing. So similar to you don't know how much you don't know. And because you don't know, it's impossible to fix it. And you get closer to the essence of the thing. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about a little thing that my instructor, Dr. Middlebrooks, talked about when he talked about 3 points of contact with the support hand. And to give it some context, I first trained with Dr. in the late 90s. So 1999, I believe, is the first time I trained with him. I trained with him for a week or two, went back home, tried to digest everything I learned, tried to apply a very different approach to shooting than what I had come up in and what I had learned previously at the police academy and in a couple classes I had gone to. And I began to really dive into it. And he asked from me a commitment to just dedicate yourself to the technique, learn the technique, train the technique religiously every day, dry fire for an hour, and just put the time in, and once a week go live fire and track your progress over however long, if you come back in a month or if you never come back, but track your progress and then let me know. Call me and let me know how it's going. And I thought that was fair, so that's what I did. And after a month, I had noticed a marked improvement in every performance data point as far as shooting goes, whether it was accuracy, speed, shooting on the move, shot-to-shot recovery, one reload one or two reload two, those type of drills where you're breaking your grip on the pistol and manipulating the gun and then coming back on target. We know sometimes that after the reload is where things get a little wonky. Just tracking all that data and using some standard drills like bill drills and things like that to just track and see. And I started to notice I was making some really good progress and I was doing really well. So I went back to see him in 2001, just before September 11th happened. So I went back and I spent 2 weeks this time and I trained hard. We're shooting about anywhere. I want to say, now bear with me, give me some leeway on this because it's 20 some years, but I think we were shooting close to 1,000 rounds a day. I just remember grabbing these ammo cans out of the Connex box and popping them open and getting to the end of the day and they're just loose rounds rattling around in there. Like I had shot through an ammo can, 1,000 rounds, and I learned so much. There was so much data. And the system is called Fistfire. And here's the book. Dr. wrote this book in 2002. So this was published in 2002. The book was finished in 2001. So 9/11 kind of put a damper on a lot of things as far as him finishing the book and some other things. He got really busy training some other people. And yeah, so the book came out in 2002, but the book as is was finished in 2001. I saw the final copy. I had a 3-ring binder version of this book in 2001. That was a manuscript that we were working through, and DR was saying, hey, if I'm wrong here, tell me, what are your thoughts here? Give me your input here. Test this concept or this thought. Test this and let me know. And so we were doing a lot of like hands-on work, and it's kind of cool. And I'm kind of proud of this. I'm going to brag for a second. The books, it says number 5 out of 100. And he says, thanks for being a good friend and a good student. And I'm proud of that because I really put a lot of effort into being both of those things. I do my best to be a good friend, and I do my best to be a good student when I train with somebody. Even if I don't agree with everything they teach, I do my best to just kind of jettison that voice in your head that's like, I don't know about this, and just go all in on it and give it a chance before forming an opinion. And that's what I did with this system. Is I went all in on it, and over the course of 2 or 3 years, I really began to appreciate the benefits of the system, what DR was trying to teach. One of the things that was cool about the system was we shot out to 100 yards. We started at 10 yards shooting on steel plates on a plate rack, and moved out to 100 yards shooting on C-zone steel with no sights on the pistol. And we were making hits. And that to me was incredible. I never believed it could happen. And it was all about driving your thumbs into the target, indexing, gripping it, getting a good grip, and then indexing and driving the pistol into the target, and in such a way that you had a repeatable performance. And a lot of people would harsh on that and say, why are you shooting a pistol with no sights on it? Well, the pistol at the time was this. I've showed you guys the Glock 19 I took out there, but initially, the very first 2 trips I went out there, I took this Glock 21. Now this thing is a workhorse. It's beat up. You can kind of see some of the wear and tear on this thing. It has paid its dues. It served me really well. But this is what I took out there. This was what I was issued as a brand new SWAT team member, because these things are tanks. If you break this, yeah, right? Like we would joke around, like if you could shoot this, you could shoot anything. And that's why they give it to you, because if you could shoot this thing at the time with a New York trigger, then you can do wonders with a decent pistol. So, and that's not to say this is trash. This thing served me well. But my point is just, you can see there's sights on my gun, but he would take the sights off for the course, and we would shoot the course, and then the sights would become what he called a second witness. So as I index the pistol, drive it onto the target, the sights should just be that final reference point of, we're good, let her go. Like send it, we're on. And you also develop the ability to run the sights as you would a red dot gun, where you target focus, the sights appear, and you let the rounds go. You don't take time to look at the sights, you just stay looking at the target, and you see the dot or the front sight appear through the aperture of the rear sight, and just let her go. And that was a very, for me at that time, and even now, an advanced concept of aiming, all of that stuff. So, but I wanted to share with you guys something that came up. So I was going through this book a little bit, and I was talking, because somebody wrote me and said, hey, tell me about this. So in the book, he has the 3 contact principle. You can kind of see it down there on the bottom, where DR's talking about the 3 points of contact. And I was like, 3 points of contact? I remember that. I remember him doing exercises with me to emphasize that, to learn that. But I was like, what are you talking about? So there's an exercise you do. I'm not going to do it, obviously. I'm standing in my house. There's an exercise you do where you have the pistol. So I'll check this one time. Ammo out, or mag out. There's no ammo anywhere in this room. And the pistol is empty. As you can see, we are clear and good to go. There's an exercise you do with your support hand where you take the mag out. So you chamber around, take the mag out, put the mag away, and then you get your grip on the pistol, and then you take your strong hand out of there. And the 3 points of contact were the support hand thumb, the support hand index finger as it goes underneath the trigger guard, and then the pinky at the bottom of the front strap. So you create like 1, 2, 3 points of contact. And as I'm explaining this to the person who asked me about it, I had that eureka moment where something DR had said to me years and years ago that at the time didn't register, clicked. And that was that I am creating leverage between the thumb and this side of the trigger guard. So that right there, those things are kind of pinching together, but not like squeezing, but like a fulcrum, almost like a fulcrum here, like a leverage point, and then that's allowing me to then leverage down into the pinky. So if I grab this gun and I try to pop it out of my hand, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm trying to pull that out of my hand. You can hear it kind of, you hear that? I've created leverage. I'm not squeezing really hard. I've created leverage between those 3 points of contact. So 1, 2, I'm kind of pinching that there. So you kind of see that. That's, see if I can get my hand off there so you can see it better. But that, see how the gun's moving a little bit? That's the pressure I'm applying between this finger contacting the trigger guard and this thumb contacting the dust cover, the frame. And then what's keeping it all cranked down is that rollover wrist lock that DR talks about right there. And some other guys talk about that, like Ron Avery talks about like hardening the wrist but keeping the hand soft. That motion right there is locking this thing in, and it's making it so I can't get it to come out. So I'm not squeezing. Like you can see there's a gap, right? But I can't get that to come out because I am creating this leverage, this pressure between the thumb, this area right here, and this area right here. And so the pistol, if the slide were to cycle, it's going to want to go like that, right? It wants to lift and follow the path of the slide, right? But because I've got it like this, it's not, I don't want to put my fingers in front of the muzzle, it's not doing that. Can you hear that? Like I'm putting pressure on this thing and it's not moving. Play around with that. Again, it was one of those things where I just had this eureka moment where I was like, holy cow, that's what DR was talking about. And I've been doing it to some degree for years, just naturally mounting the pistol, driving it into the target, and creating that tension. But I've never thought about the index finger and the thumb creating kind of that wedging motion there. Similar to what Masayub talks about with his wedge, right? Where he wedges the fingers under. I had the privilege of teaching at a tactical conference, and Masayub took my block. He took it twice, and each time I had him come up and talk about the wedge because it's part of it, especially for smaller pistols. This is a Glock 21. It's a large gun. But the wedging motion, but that, creating that tension between the index finger under the trigger guard and the thumb right there, and then using that to leverage, to crank, right? So that becomes like my pivot point or my fulcrum to leverage down in there and then mount this thing, and it's not going to move, right? Hey guys, try it. Let me know what you think. as with everything, this is a way. This is a way I've done for a long time. I'm understanding how to better explain it now after yesterday's eureka moment. But this is a way, and try it. Not saying it's the way, but man, it's a pretty darn good one. All right, guys, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. If I can ever help you with anything, please reach out to me. I love helping people. I love making people more capable. I want to make you an asset to your community, to your people. And most of all, I want to make you the hero of your own story. I want you to be proud of yourself, and I want your people to be proud of you. So reach out and let's get to work. You guys have a good one.